Okay, guys, I think we're finally online here. Let me, all right. I'm so sorry, guys, for the delay. I'm not even sure what happened. I basically tested all this equipment before I went online, and we had some technical difficulties. So I'm just going to try and see if the other camera is working. Let me just take a moment here. I'm glad this part's working. I just want to make sure I can get the other stuff online. My apologies for this, guys. This is just completely out of the blue. Okay. Just gonna see if I can get a better microphone online. Okay, well, you know what? I won't worry about it. We got a camera here, and we're working here, it seems. I'm on my laptop right now. I'm not too sure what happened to my desktop computer. Very weird, guys. So, but that's okay. As long as I'm online, I can see you guys. So I'm just gonna pull up the pop-out chat. If I can get the other microphone online, that'd be great. So basically, this is going to be the final Reality Whisperer Webcast of its kind, and it's going to be substituted afterwards with New Earth Teachings. So in a couple weeks, there'll be a brand new rebranding of the webcast. It's going to be called the New Earth Teachings Webcast. And so tonight, I'm going to be bringing in Nefertittus of the Inner Earth civilization known as the Delphi. Let me just see if I can try out my my other microphone here. See if it's working. Just give me a second. Okay, let's see if that works better. Can you guys hear me better now? Everything good? Okay, just want to make sure you guys can hear me okay. Okay, great. So I can hear, see people are hearing me. That's good. That's a good sign. So I got this kind of crappy laptop webcam. So I'm going to see if I can maybe capture something better, if I can. Okay. There we go. That looks better. I'm on a better camera now. All right, now I am set. Now I'm good to go. So again, my sincere apologies to everybody for this technical hiccup. So now I got like my desktop computer here. I got my laptop computer in the way. I got cords everywhere. Oh God, isn't technology fun? Okay guys, so we're gonna go ahead and get started. So for those of you who are not familiar with Nefertittus, I did a video of him just a little over a week ago, as he represents, oh my God, okay. Cords, get out of the way, Jesus Christ. Okay, I'm like surrounded by cords right now. Nefertittus represents a being known as the Delphi, and he is part of the Inner Earth civilization. So basically, he's come through and he's shared a lot of information with me while I was doing what's known as empathic interfacing. And so I've already informed Nefertittus that he'll be here tonight. It's very, very different from how I channel Adronis. Because when I go into channel Adronis, I basically just go into a stream of consciousness that is beyond space and time. When I'm basically connecting with Nefertittus, I basically have to let him know beforehand that there's an event happening, so he can basically prepare his own astro body and connect with me in this particular way. So we are going to have an audience with Nefertittus tonight, and of course this is going to be recorded, and you guys can feel free to share this once we're finished tonight. But I'm just going to go ahead and introduce Nefertittus first and just see if there's any information that he would like to share. And then we're going to go into the Q&A. If you guys have any questions for Nefertittus, understand that he's not like Adronis, so he's not going to know, quote unquote, a broad range of information like Adronis does. So we'll do what we can to share some questions that may help him or help everybody here based upon his particular form of knowledge. To get some questions in here that may be relevant. Oh my God, computer, shut up. I'm hearing like these beeps and bops and beep, oh, God, technology drives me crazy. Okay. All right, so let me just make sure everything is good. I'm glad you guys can hear me okay. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and just take a few moments just to connect with Nefertittus. It may take a little bit longer with me to connect with him than Adronis, simply because, again, I'm doing what's known as empathic interfacing, and it's not channeling. So it's basically just getting into the telepathic connection with him. So I'm just going to take a moment to get past this, all these wires, and we'll get started with the empathic interfacing and the audience with Nefertittus. Here we go. Okay, I am sensing that Nefertittus is standing by. And so I'm just going to ask Nefertittus now if there's anything that he wants to share. Okay, well, he's basically saying greetings to everybody. We are the Delphi. I am Nefertittus. I speak on behalf of a larger group. And so I'm almost seeing like as if he's in a circle. It's almost like you can see about 12 different Delphi in a circle, and Nefertittus is in the center. And the 12 that are in the circle are maintaining this particular connection now. So I'm basically kind of like seeing a white void, just like white light everywhere. And they're seated in the center. Now Nefertittus looks very much similar to the 3D rendering that was done by a good friend of mine, Zion Zeta. You'll see that you would see that in the title display that I had, the 3D rendering of Nefertittus. He looks quite similar to that. Basically, he just wears like a long white flowing robe in that particular way. His eyes are kind of like a pale red. He has kind of semi-long hair. It's kind of like medium sized hair that goes down to about his eyebrows. He has a white beard as well too. Now he looks like he's in his 20s, but he is actually 110 years old. So he's he's been around for a while in that sense. And a lot of the others that are around him right now are also, again, they kind of look like they're in their mid-late 20s, maybe early 30s at most. It feels like there's a perfect balance between male and female within the 12. So there's like 6 males and 6 females, and Nefertittus would be the 13th. So again, being the 7th male in this connection. We want to say thank you for allowing us to share our information with you during your previous time to which we interacted. There is much that is taking place within negotiations as it relates to your connection with us. Things are in the plans are in the works. And just take a moment here. Basically, he wants you to know that much to the Anshar that Corey Good refers to, those are the Argothan humans of the West. He is not of the West. He would be located underground, to the area of the country known as Greece. So they would be in the eastern area of the planet. There's a lot of change that's taking place between our people. More of the Delphi is reaching out to your people. There are still some people who are still not quite certain who they are communicating with. They are still mistaking some of the Delphi as extraterrestrials. And we are not extraterrestrials. We live within your planet. We have always been human beings. and that much of our great history, as you could say, has been through a new time stream. That beings from what you would know as your future have come to the past and have settled inside the planet. The territory to which we occupy holds a great deal of agricultural nature. We are farmers. We cultivate our own food. We are vegetarian. We do not eat meat. Much of our cities are built out of refined material, deeper ores, more purified within the heart of your planet, all created through permission. We also utilize that of crystal technology. Crystals that speak to us and crystals that share their life with us. These crystals can be worked, can be refined to create astral imagery. And that is the holography that we use. In third density, you may not see it. But when you align to the fourth density energy that we represent, and you come inside our domain, as it were, you would be able to work with these crystals, imply a thought, and have a holography, just as if you were going into a dream, as if you were lucid dreaming. And that in this lucid dream, if you were able to manifest a chair would appear. And you would be able to sit in that chair and it would feel solid. But it can also disappear as well. So there is a holographic technology that is used. But there have also been physical materials that have been created. Not everything is holography, because there are certain things that we wish to have stay, not to just disappear. It takes time to develop this capability of working with technology on the crystal level, because you must imagine what it is that you are creating with a very refined mind. You cannot just ask for a chair and expect a chair to appear. You must be very, very visual as what this particular chair is made out of, how it holds you in that way, perhaps its own textures, and that through the advanced mind you are able to build that particular chair. So it's not just something that comes like this. You have to really envision about how this chair is made. That would be how this holographic technology works. It works together with the implying of your thoughts, but that thought must be descriptive to create. So we have followed an area to where our cities have been hard created, that they can be permanent. It's not so much that we are creating food with thought, because again, that would require a great deal of thought to actually produce food. You must be very, very aware of the texture. You must be very, very aware of the atomic rate. It gets complicated in that way. So again, we follow the path of least resistance, planting seeds. There are animals within the inner earth that are also above your world, in your surface. There are also prehistoric animals, not really within our area, but within other areas of the inner earth, within other pockets, within other clusters, within the honeycomb cells of vaults to where other Argothans, in that sense, live. Again, as we talk about the Anshar represents another group. We are associated like a branch with that group, but we are not the Anshar. The Anshar, as we have talked about, represents an organization, a type of society, a union between other, you could say, Argothans that have agreed through treaty to coexist. However, the idea of the Anshar and the Delphi and other groups coexisting to work together with humanity is based upon a choice that is not contained within the original accord of our agreement. Basically, what we are saying is that there are only certain groups within the Anshar that will decide to work with humanity. Some do not want to work with you at all. Some are happy to work with you. Again, others may have their own agendas, and they are not interested in working together with humanity. We have basically started to develop ourselves appropriately, or prepare ourselves appropriately, to begin opening ourselves up for contact. The Delphi is one particular society within the inner earth that is very open to your communication, if you are willing to work with us. You can meditate on our frequency. You can meditate with us. And if you feel a presence coming together to where it is recognizable that our presence is here, that is a permission slip. This is implying that you are able to interact together with us, because we are happy to interact with you. We have talked about as well that in your times ahead, could be several years from now, it all just depends, that you will have a habitat created within inner earth to where certain humans will be invited to come to this habitat, and it would appear very closely related to like what you would know as an embassy, an area to where humanity would be welcome in this cluster. Now, this is not right away. There still needs to be improvements based upon your planet that needs to take place first. When this happens, there will be much more of a sign that something is taking place. This will not be in your mainstream media, by the way. It will be something that is much more discreet. There are basically certain humans that are being invited, and they will be invited into inner earth. They will basically be picked up in that way, and they will be taken into the inner earth. This pickup will firstly start off in the astral form. Over time, it will start to graduate into physical form. Basically, we could say that once fourth density is acclaimed on your surface, this will be the beginning times to where humanity will be welcomed into this habitat being created within the inner earth, to which we are, as the Delphi, are working along. We are basically securing a particular space. We are working together with others of the Anshar that are helping to bring this together. But it will look very much like open land. There will be grass, there will be trees, there will be soil. It will look very similar to the surface of your own earth. Again, where we exist, it's not just like looking inside of a cave. It looks like you're on a planet and the surface of the planet. We have what you would refer to as sunlight that is created through specific holographic frequency. And it does create warmth, it does create light, and again, it creates that photosynthetic effect for nature to grow. But again, there is a certain level of discipline to those who are being invited into this inner earth. I'm just going to ask Nefertittus if there's an approximation where this habitat may be. He basically says close to your area underground of Switzerland, around there, basically around that particular area. How many vertical miles do you feel, Nefertittus, would it be if we were to stand in Sweden, for example, and go all the way down? About 20 to 25 miles vertically down. That would be the estimation in regards to where this habitat is being created in that way. It's being co-created in that way. And with this habitat, Nefertitus, would we be bringing materials down with us to build? No, no. So he basically says no. He says there is going to be teachings about how you can build upon the land. You're not bringing your surface-based technology with you. You'll leave all of that behind. For the volunteers that are being chosen who accept, because again, you're not prisoners here. You're able to leave and be in this space anytime you wish. You're free to leave. No one is being imprisoned here. But as a habitat, again, it's like an embassy. You can come and you can go. But basically, we will be teaching you how to use certain tools, how to use the holographic technology, how we are able to cultivate. Our agricultural sharings will be a part of your learning as well too. And so this habitat is going to be prepared. So I would basically ask Nefertitus, is the land already there? Like, is it 100% ready to go? It says not quite. There's still land that's still being shared by other races who are still looking to have an agreement. And so we don't have a 100% concept of how much land will be available to you. But right now there is a certain amount of land that is available, but others need to pool in their own agreements to allowing humanity to come together. And now I'm just going to ask Nefertitus, well, what would our life be like inside the earth like that? Would we have access to other beings that would be able to share themselves with us? He's basically saying that most of the human race is first. It will take a bit of acclimatizing for you to get used to other beings that live here. And so basically you will work together within Anshar jurisdiction in that way. So again, the Delphi are an association with the Anshar. And so the Anshar are basically going to be mentors within the inner earth. I'm asking him about extraterrestrial contact. You know, in these times ahead, will it also be similar to what we're going to go through with contacts with extraterrestrials in that way? He says that will come later. This will actually come first before the greater contacts will happen as it relates to ETs. So again, it will be very, very discreet. Your media will not cover this. Your media will not say, oh, by the way, there's Argothans that are taking people and inviting them into the inner earth. Very, very discreet. Nobody will know about this except for those who are invited. Basically, who is knowing about this right now is through your broadcast right now. So it will be very, very discreet. We have to take this one step at a time. We cannot just rush into this. You have to become acclimatized to how the inner earth works. The vibration within the earth is much, much stronger than your surface. Your surface has much more of a subtle vibration. If you're going into the interiors of the planet, the vibration intensifies. It's much more stronger. And that's how we're able to exist in fourth density. Again, it is mainly sound vibration. It is crystal technology. It is our own consciousness that has allowed fourth density to be acclaimed within inside the earth. Now, you will discover this a lot more with other planets that you go to. You will notice that the more deeper you go into the earth, the vibration actually raises, simply because of the effects of energy. The crystal consciousness within the earth is much more vibrant in that area. And basically, you could state that much of the sunlight, as it is currently aligned, is still operating between a third and fourth density flux. Where we exist, our sunlight is quote-unquote artificial, but natural. And it vibrates in fourth density. And that's how it works in that way, the way I can basically interpret it here. All right, now I would just like to ask Nefertitus if he is ready for some questions from our audience. And so there's a nodding of the head. So, so that's, again, some information that's coming together. So let's just see if we have any questions for Nefertitus right now. Do we have any questions that anybody would like to ask? Okay, here's one from Luke. Luke asks, do the people watching this live stream have a connection to the Delphi? Well, he's basically saying nothing is by accident. So he can't guarantee that everybody that's watching this is going to have an association with the Delphi, but those who need to see this will attract themselves if they wish to connect with us. We're simply open to receiving communication with those who are passionate in connecting with us. We're happy to work together with humanity. Our intention is to basically create unification here, is to create harmony between the two worlds, of the inner world and of the surface world. And that there have been a lot of nudges coming our way to open dialogues with humanity. We have wanted to do this for quite some time, but there was also a feeling of halting, of not wanting to do this. There needed to be a lot of negotiation. There needed to be cooperation from our quote-unquote kin in order for us to finally open up with humanity and let them know. If we did not have that full cooperation, we would not be having this conversation with you right now. It's not something that we could just do on our own. We need support from our kin that will work together with us, and this is allowing us to open up in this particular way. So yes, people who are connecting to this right now feel that vibration of connection with us, but again, you have free will. You have to decide if this is something for you, if it's not something for you. Let's face it, not everybody is going to experience the inner earth. Not everybody is going to experience our race. This is something you really need to deeply feel, and you have to make your choice, and we will never interfere with your ability to make choice. We are honoring your free will with whatever you feel serves you through your life. Okay, so that's kind of the impression he's giving here. Okay, we're getting a couple of questions here. This is great. Okay, so here's one from, let me just go back to where it was. Okay, we'll start with Ross here. Or actually, sorry. Let's go with Tirak. Nefertittus, if your people are fourth density beings, how are you able to have physical encounters with third density humans on Earth when they can see and verbally talk, hear you normally? Let's talk later. Okay. It says, we haven't physically introduced ourselves to your people yet. There have been times in ancient past where we were able to calibrate ourselves to some degree, and some of us were able to go to the surface to function as oracles, because that's our nature. We function as oracles. Basically, we are in service to the one creator. And that there were certain points of time within your history, through your ancient Greece, through your ancient Rome, through your ancient Egypt, to which we had some forms of associations as mediators in that way. We would not always appear physically. Some needed to go into certain meditative states to actually communicate with us, with some of our kin. But it was possible for us to actually go up into the surface to basically reach our vibration to a certain level. You could understand that moving from third density to fourth density is somewhat cross-compatible, although we cannot simply stay within your density for too long. So we basically had to calibrate ourselves to move into the solid plane, and we would come through by what you would know as apertures or portals in that particular way. And we could only exist in the physical plane for a certain amount of time before it became too heavy. Think of it like gravitational stress. You can really only be in there for a certain amount of time before the density starts, again, actually making you physically ill. And so we could only remain for a certain amount of time before we were able to leave. But in the majority of contacts that have happened within your ancient past, we have mainly come through in the idea of vision. We have come through in the idea of consciousness, of mentality, in that way. I have not personally gone to your surface, and this is Nefertittus speaking. He has not been to our surface. He never has. In fact, no one in his group, no one in the Delphi currently, within the current age, has ever been to the surface. He's basically referring to a lot of the ancient ancestors of the Delphi that have once been on the surface, but again, they would only be there for a short amount of time. They did not manually climb out of inner earth and go into the surface. Again, as we stated, it was aperture travel, being able to connect from one portal system to another portal system to basically create a visit, simply because there was something of importance that needed to be revealed. Basically, these would come together in urgent matters. They would come as warnings in that sense. If we really needed to reach somebody and they were not listening, we would physically appear before them. And we would tell them, stop what you're doing. We've had to give humanity many warnings in the past. The idea of empires, the idea of ruling people over, we would say, stop that, or we are not going to associate with you. And so again, many of these particular civilizations, through your ancient Roman Empire, your Greek Empire, your Egyptian Empire, started off very loving with unification, but they became contaminated. We don't know why. They became contaminated and we couldn't work with them. They were not parallel with our frequency anymore to our ancestors, and we said, enough is enough. If you're going to continue this path, we're not going to talk to you. We're not going to give you any more information. And so we could say that our ancient ancestors did have some naivety, bringing about information, talking about fellowship, whereas in these other empires basically wanted to take that energy and convert it into evil deeds, convert it into conquering, into control. And that is not what we represented. And so much of our ancient empire, our ancient ancestors, withdrew from those empires. And so this is why so many of the Argothan races have not decided to work with humanity, because we feel that they have always wanted to consume so much power. And they do not want to share this with their kin. They want to have it for themselves. And it is childish. And it's stupid. And so we did not decide to continue this interaction with them. Okay, so that's kind of what he's feeling. It's like he's pretty defensive about this, right? You know, and you have to kind of look at it in his place as well too. It's kind of like you're just giving these things out of goodness of your heart, thinking that somebody will use it for good deeds, and then they turn around and they use it to abuse, they use it to control, you know, and so that's again the reason why they withdrew. You just have to really kind of put yourself into their position about what's taken place in that way, and you kind of get a little bit more understanding, because humanity was going through a lot of this turmoil. Again, just all about greed and power, and just very, very few people wanting to dominate. And again, I'm sure many of us already know about that story. Okay, here's one from Ross. How do we travel into the earth? Okay, so basically what Nefertittus is telling me is you cannot travel physically into our dimension. That is impossible. You can't. You just simply cannot. You have to understand that everything is by invitation. If you basically tried to physically go into our realms, first of all, your physical body simply could not survive. It couldn't. It is basically just too great a feat to try and go into the greater depths, as this is 20, 30 miles vertically deep into the earth, and that you're basically inhaling a lot of toxic gases as well too. It's just like a big barrier, and that barrier cannot be penetrated. So basically, if we, for example, decided that one of you would be interested in being a volunteer and there was consensus, we would take you there ourselves. So this again, as Nefertittus has said, is that this will often come through the dream state or the astral plane first. You will first astrally visit inner earth. If you were to be physically taken there, there's a couple of ways about how that can happen. One, you can be picked up and taken there by portal systems. Secondly, liaison can come together with you, and at times you may actually be able to come aboard one of their craft. And their craft does appear very saucer-like, like flying saucers in that way, and that this particular craft is able to phase through matter and goes back into the inner earth. That's another particular way. So those are a couple ways about how this can happen. But again, the third way is mainly through mental connection and working together in the astral body for you to take a visit of fourth density earth in that way. Other things can almost be like cocooning, like actually cocooning your body with energy where it becomes lighter, your physical body, and actually being able to take you in that way as well too. Kind of like having a sphere around you and basically being absorbed into the earth, but it almost feels like it's almost instantaneous in that way. So again, that may be a part of a portal system as well too. Okay, so you cannot physically travel to the earth without permission. You simply would not survive. Paul Shelkoff asks, Nefertittus, could you speak more on how we might specifically connect with the Delphi? Okay. Just think of us. Just think about what we represent to you as Brad speaks on our behalf. Now again, our complexion is that we are of a pale, cream white skin. We have that of what you would know as pale red eyes. Our skin, our hair is white. But you can also connect with the Delphi just through the saying of our name in that way. If you were to look at what you would know as the Trinity, as the sacred Trinity, you know, the looping Trinity symbol, again, utilized in Celtic traditions, the aspect of unity, that can be one way of connecting with the Delphi, is looking into the knotted Trinity symbol, right? So the Trinity symbol there used in the ancient Celtic traditions. That's another way that you can use a symbol if you wish and connect with the Delphi in that particular way. As again, they have connections with Norse mythology, they have connections with Greek mythology, with Roman mythology, with Egyptian mythology. So there's many different ways you can come together, but basically seeing the Trinity symbol, again, the name of it escapes me, but you being able to see that symbol and thinking of the Delphi in that way can connect with them. Now, how I connected with the Delphi was I was using spiroakashic viewing. I was just sitting at my desk and I wanted to connect to an inner Earth civilization. They came to me, right? I just said, if there was any inner Earth being that wanted to connect with me, please feel free to do so. And the Delphi pops right in, right? So I didn't really have to envision them. I didn't have to think of a symbol. I didn't even know their name at the time. They just came to me, right? Basically, that's the same principle, is that if you are looking to connect with the inner Earth civilizations, just open yourself up and saying, if any inner Earth civilization wants to communicate with me, I'm ready, I'm open, right? And see what comes together. It may not be the Delphi, it may be somebody else. It may be someone within the Anshar. It could be the Sasquatch races. I actually did connect with a gray-furred Sasquatch race that exists underneath New Mexico. So that's another one that I connected with as well too. But I felt a really great connection with the Delphi. The Sasquatch beings were lovely, but the Delphi felt like they wanted to communicate with me a lot more. And so that's basically how it started together with me in that way. So to connect with you, again, is just no more different than if you were to connect with a guide, but just being able to keep yourself open and inviting any particular type of inner Earth being that is in resonance with your love frequency to come together and share themselves. Okay? Stefan Markovic asks, are there negative beings in inner Earth? Yeah, there's warring beings, but there are treaties within the inner Earth civilizations. From what Nefertittus is saying, he said there are those in that sense who are committing some pretty evil deeds, and they are working together with other beings beyond your world, and they basically want to try and have the Earth entirely for themselves. He basically also just states that we don't associate with those particular beings. But yeah, you have to understand that everything is polarity. Everything's a two-sided coin here. And that, you know, not everything is going to be light and love as long as you're light and love yourself. You are that love and light frequency. You'll be able to connect to that frequency. But your own vulnerabilities that you deny will cause a bridge of connection with other beings that may not serve just as a lesson plan to you, to helping you become more at peace with yourself, to be that love vibrational frequency. So you have to understand that reality itself, creation itself, is filled with contrast, right? We can have the most loving beings that can come together with us when we represent that love. If we're in fear, if we're in hate, then we're going to attract some beings like that as well too, just as a means to helping us understand our shadows, right? So that's something that just needs to come together in understanding, okay? And Nefertitus is just nodding his head. That's me speaking. So that's what I can share to you, Stefan, for that. Okay, Eric Osvaldo Ailman says, no questions, I can't ask myself. I'm currently in contact with them. Great. So he's in connection with the Delphi in that sense. Nefertitus just says to you, Eric, keep in touch. Just keep in touch, communicate with the guy that's working with you. We know who is working with you, but we're not going to tell Brad, so contact them more often. Make sure you're on the ball with that. Okay, they're helping to work with you in that way. So very good. Thank you, Eric, for sharing. Zasper asks, can I come live in Inner Earth now? My name is Rakam. Come pick me up now, please. And he said, well, that's not how it works. Right? It's not how it works. We're not here to save you, right? And that's something important. This all comes with the idea of you getting yourself together. And this is something that's very important for all of you to understand. We are not here to pick you up, to take you away from your problems, because your problems will always follow you. There is a certain level of discipline for people that are going to come into the Inner Earth. You really have to be self-empowered, okay? Do not feel you're running away from Earth, you're running away from your problems. The Inner Earth beings won't even touch you, okay? That's not saying anything to be mean, but you really have to get a hold of your life. You really have to start realizing that your problems are your own, okay? Nobody else on this world gave you these problems. Every choice that you have made, your mentality, your emotional states, your traumas, they have been created by you. What really allows harmonious beings to work together with you is when you become that harmony itself. We are not here to bail you out. We're not here to rescue you and take you into somewhere where you can escape from all this stuff. Not going to happen, right? So they're very, very adamant about that, saying that we're not here to bail you out. We're not your saviors. We're not your gods. We're not your deities. You have to work these things out for yourself. This is all part of your development. You're bringing yourself into harmony. You have to make peace with everything that represents your traumas, right? Making peace with that. So that's, again, what they share, and they're very adamant about that. So, okay. So I'm just going to scroll down here a bit more. So we got some more questions coming in. Very good. All right. So let me just kind of go through these questions here. Okay, here's an interesting one here from Alina Vladi. Question number 1, what is your impression of Gaia? How do you perceive her? Do you perceive her as an entity? How do you interact with her? Great mother. She's our great mother. We talk to her all the time through every living thing. She is wise beyond anything that we can share. She is the giver of all life on our world, and she is to be respected sacredly. And every action that we do is in respect to our mother, to our great mother. Entity is a funny word. We know that's a word within your language. We don't really use that. We actually find it demeaning. You have to see everybody as spirit. You have to see everything as spirit. And that Mother Earth is the collector, is the giver, the nurturer of the spirits upon this world. We're all connected to her. We're all together as one. And everything that we do is in love to our great mother. We do not use entity terms. That's not what we do. So we would say that everything that you do, everything that you perform on a daily basis, give it to the love of the earth, because she's the reason that you're actually here right now. Everything that you do is upon the body of the earth. Love her. Love her very, very deeply. Love her as much as you can each and every day. And that is going to aid in your happiness, in your love. As you give love to the earth, love will return back to you in great, great beauty. Okay, so that's basically what they're saying. They don't use the term entity or anything like that. That's, again, to them, that's almost like a derogatory term, right? So they don't use that because, again, that's representing a container, right? And from the Delphi perspective, it's looking at essence, it's looking at soul, it's looking at, that which is beyond embodiment, the connection to all in that way. Actually, I would like to ask Nefertittus, Nefertittus, do you follow more so the philosophy of the law of one? He could say, in a way, it would be what you would know as a religion, but it is a religion that does not hold distortion based upon belief that limits you. It's the aspect of the ancient religion of remembrance, of the realization that we're all connected, and that what you term as the law of one holds that together in a practical way as well. But we do not see it in some terms as the law of one has directed in that way. It's not about service to self. It's not about service to others. It's about that together. It's about bondage in that way. You cannot just see one side of a coin. You have to realize there's both sides. And that's what it is. It's the enrichment of both. The realizing that others are the facet and reflections of yourself and helping you to remember yourself as you collect this through the self and harmonize it through the self as well. So it is an ancient religion of remembrance. That is what we represent. Okay, great. The Patriot just asks, when is the solar flash going to happen? You will know when it happens. You don't have to ask about it. But it's going to be some time from now. It's going to be in a few years. There still needs to be some sequences that need to play out before that time can happen. Okay. And Love44 says Celtic Trinity not. Thank you, Love44. Again, that label escaped me. Thank you so much. Okay, let me just go down here a bit more. See what else we got. Okay, here's an interesting one here from Milky Way Cruise Beats. Do the Delphi use electromagnetic motors or only crystal technology? Yeah, no nuts and bolts technology. They don't use that. Now they do have ancient artifacts from the earth as well too. Some of these ancient artifacts can be like stone tablets. They do have libraries, from what they're saying. If you guys can show me what you guys have right now. Okay, there's rows of books, so they have lots of books from Earth. There's also ancient wisdom in their libraries that have actually been preserved during times of destruction in ancient times. So you actually have it's almost like there's a field of preservation around these books. It's almost like as if you were to go to a bookstore and pick something off the shelf, it would feel like it's brand new. But in fact, they're like thousands of years old. And it feels too as well too that they have a lot of recent books as well too, and the Anshar have talked about this as well too. I wanted to ask Nefertittus about that. How do you guys get recent books? How do you guys get there? You're not just going to have Amazon fly a drone into inner Earth. So how do you guys get of those books? Basically what they're saying is we get it from others in our own way. So we can't really go too much into details, but there are others on the surface to which we are able to receive these books, and then we keep them stored in this library. I would ask Nefertittus, does he have any kind of favorite books? He really loves poetry in that way. Edgar Allan Poe, he really, really likes. See if there's anything else that he's saying right now. Just a lot of poems that he actually writes as well too. But yeah, Edgar Allan Poe feels like something that he really, really likes. He really enjoys in that sense. So very cool. Okay, so let's see what we got here. Okay, Dr. Laura Patterson asks, what are their food growing practices? How do they grow food in that particular way? Practically to how you would grow food, but we do not abuse the land over and over and over again. We have to make sure that the land is well nourished. And so there are land fertility rituals that are created. And so it's a lot of blessing of the land. We do not just use the land over and over and over again. A lot of it also cultivates naturally to where more nature exists. It's not just looking into like a very large farm crop of land and continuously planting there. That's not how they work. They basically have open areas within nature where trees grow, where grass grows, and they select certain areas where these plants will naturally grow that they can eat. So he basically says that if you're using it in the style of a farm crop, in the way that farmers would cultivate crops, that would be an incorrect way. Because basically you're utilizing something that has been used over and over again, and you don't allow anything else to grow. That's restricting nature. So you want to make sure that when you're growing crops, you're doing it in areas open to nature, where a lot of other flora and fauna are growing. So you would plant them around trees, you would plant them around grass, where there's a lot of abundant wildlife. And that is where you would go. So it's basically that if you create a farm like the way that you are, this is the incorrect way to allow yourself to sustain healthy crops. It should be in an area that is rich in wildlife, rich in nutrients within the soil, where nature already grows. And it's also talking to nature as well, too, ensuring that it is all right to plant seeds in this area. Because again, there can be other particular plants or other particular flora and fauna that are growing in that area, and that you could contaminate their community by planting in those areas. So you have to really wander the lands and feel and connect to certain areas that are open, and you can plant. But it's not about making the soil bare and constantly tilling it and feeling you're constantly replanting over and over again. You will kill the soil by doing that. So don't do that, is basically what he's saying. Everything really needs to grow together agriculturally through nature and through spots that are rich, that will allow the plants that you plant, the seeds that you plant, to come together. That's kind of what he's saying in that sense. So he has got a whole big, great amount of information with that. So again, pretty fascinating. Thank you for your question. Let's move down. Okay, let's, yeah, here's an interesting one from Kat. Kat below asks, would your history mirror ours, or has it been less manipulated? He's taken a bit to say this. It has not always been a smooth transition from where we are right now. As we've stated, there have been other beings here that do wish to create conquest, that do want to have control of certain matters relating to your planet. We have also gone through a great deal of separation, because there was a point to where we were attempting to unify everyone. But everybody has their own agendas, and we had to learn from this as well too. You cannot control others. So we had to learn this as well. We have gone through, in somewhat similarities to what you have gone through, but not to the great extremes that you have gone to. Again, you will not find technology like what you have upon the surface within the inner earth. We've never used technology like that. Your smartphones, your televisions, your newspapers, your radio, we don't use anything like that. We never have. It really has been connecting to our ability to have mental adaptiveness, mental aptitude, and listening and working with the earth. And that the crystals will bring forward communion as you feel communion within yourselves. Not everybody within the inner earth is actually able to use the crystal technology, because they have not developed enough humility within themselves to use it. The crystals will choose who they decide to work with. And these crystals hold life force, and they prolong life. There are crystal chambers to which you can meditate in that will allow the reversing of age. And as you remain within the areas to where these crystals vibrate very strongly, you will be able to have the youthful appearance as we do. So there is much more of a rejuvenation energy to which we are, to where we are, simply because we have developed much of ourselves. And I was actually going to ask Nefertittus about that. Have there been any members of the Delphi that have gone rogue in that way, that have actually gone rogue? Yes, there has been. Okay, he said that. So basically what he has talked about before is that there are certain Argothans, so to speak, that have been exiled from inner earth, and they're basically gone off to the surface. And again, this is why some of them will again feel corrupted, they'll feel very polarized, and they will go and they'll talk to these kings, and they'll give them all this information, and they feel like they want to rule alongside in their empire as well. And so we basically would refer to them as rogues. So there have been rogue Delphi in the ancient past. So I basically say, would there be any rogue Delphi now? I said, no. Says our people are very much together, that we do not have any rogues. But in the ancient past, there certainly was, because that's primarily how a lot of the civilizations to which they were connected with at the time were operating. And there were certain beings in that sense who felt that they could take advantage of the human race and they could have more to themselves. They basically had that kind of feeling for power in that way. So yes, there have been some of the Delphi that have been manipulated in the ancient past, but not now from what he's saying. Okay. Okay, here's an interesting one here from Mike A. How do you see stars? I read in our Gothan books that you see them. We do, yeah. We do not see the aspect of matter that you do. We can see past matter. We have the ability to access the stars just as you do. It would be like looking at the lifting of a veil past solidity. This is again why we exist in fourth density. You can become translucent, and you can see as the starlight comes upon our world, and that the aspect of matter no longer becomes an obstruction, and that we have the capability to open ourselves up and see the starlight. The crystals, in that sense, will actually make the entire world transparent, existing in this fourth density realm. And you can actually look up and see the stars in the sky. So we can actually make our own world transparent. And this can happen. This happens every single night. We see the stars just as you do. We see the exact same stars as you do through the surface. Our world becomes transparent. It has daybreak and it has nighttime. That's how it works. And you see the stars to where we exist within the earth. So yes, that's that's pretty cool. Okay, guys, we're going to take maybe about 3 or 4 more questions, and we're going to wrap it up. Okay, here's one from Katie Burke. Nefertittus, what type of questions could be asked here today that give you the most excitement for you and your people to answer? How you're expanding. When you basically come into the same level of thought, same level of mind as we do. When we see one who is really loving the earth, when we see one who is really bringing out happiness to all of their work, when we see people cooperating with the earth, you're very much in our frequency then. And this is very much what we enjoy, to have conversations with people like that, and we are interacting with people like that. Our joy, our excitement, our happiness is community, is coming together and helping one another, as well as having the love within ourselves continue to grow. And so when we see that happen with other human beings, that's a glorious time. It's a beautiful time. And we are very excited to communicate with those humans who are sharing love with their earth, who are not so caught up into technology obsessively, who are able to work together with the planet, listening to what she has to say, and being able to follow through with what she has to say. Everything around you is sacred. She speaks to you through the sounds of nature. She speaks to you through the winds, through the elements. She speaks to you through the trees and the grass that surround you. She speaks to you through the sky above your heads, through the clouds that pass you by, to the smells of the beautiful aromas of the earth. She talks to you. And if you can listen, this excites us. This is very happy, very, very happy time for us. When we see humans who are opening up to that connection, that is something to where we have a mutual rapport. So that's what he's saying about that. Okay, very good. Okay, here's one from Pete Andrew. Question, I'm drawn to connect to the Delphi and would love to meet with you in any way, and was wondering if you could check my energy if it's compatible. We really can't do it through here. That would be something that would need to be communicated with you, Pete. Again, Pete, you have to see what type of race comes through you in that way. So basically, in that sense, Nefertittus is saying, Pete, it may not be us that's going to talk to you, but you may have connections with other inner earth beings as well too. We're not the only race that exists. There are many of us within the earth. And do not rely just about us talking to you. Some of you who already have a connection to the Delphi will know this connection will come about. You don't even have to ask for it. Okay? Please do not ask us to say if we're going to interact with you. Go into yourself, invite in the energies, and let the energies speak for themselves. When you are basically in that state of allowing, this is what's important. You have to develop a state of humility within yourself and saying that if you just say, I only want to talk to the Delphi, that is not humility. That's the idea of favoritism. And we're not here to play favoritism. So, Pete, we love you. We thank you very much for your excitement. But we would just say, just surrender yourself and open up to any particular type of being that you're welcoming in with open arms. And you're not being choosy to what that being would be. We're not here to save you. We're not here to be your best buddy in that way. We're communicating with you because there is a resonance between your journey that you're on right now and the journey that we're on right now. And there is a compatibility there. This is why we're speaking with Brad in this way, is because his journey is compatible with ours. And we're connecting with him in this way. This is why we're connecting with others that have already connected with us as well too. Their journeys are compatible with ours. And that's how we have a harmony. It's no more different than how Brad talks to Adronis. Adronis has a journey. Brad represents an alignment to that journey. To all of you who may channel as well too, who may connect to other beings, you have a journey. That being's journey is compatible with your own. Do not try to force this into yourself. Let nature take its course by inviting in the open energies. Don't play favorites. Let your love speak for itself and invite and see what comes. Okay? So that's very important to connect. Okay. Bilash says, really free will? Really? Yes, Bilash. Everything is free will. You have to remember that. It's a law of confusion, right? We are not here to tell you everything about yourself. You're not a baby looking to be pampered. You have to understand that this is your life and that you have to make the discoveries of humility within yourself, of love within yourself. There is no God over you. You are that God. Okay? Okay. We're going to take probably about one or two more questions. Okay. Here's one from Love Hyperspace. How do we implement your knowledge into our society? You have to learn what our knowledge is before it can be implemented. We haven't really told you our full knowledge in that particular way from what Nefertittus is saying. So it's going to take time for you to understand where we're coming from because we live in a very different world in comparison to your own. You have to know more about what that knowledge is, firstly, before it can be implemented. And again, this is where those who have been selected and connected together in communion will come together and will share their knowledge together in that way. So we will learn from you, you will learn from us. It's all part of mutual compatibility. If you are not aware of our knowledge, how can you implement it? So we're only just beginning to have these dialogues with you. So we would say patience and allow this to expand a bit further through your own connections, through what Brad is willing to share with us. This again is just the beginning of certain knowledge. We've already told you about our agriculture in that way. If you're able to apply that in your own way as well too, then you're basically creating symmetry between what we represent and what you represent as well. Okay, okay, we're going to take one more question and we're going to wrap up. So any more last questions here, guys? I'm right at the bottom of the chat now. Okay, so we're going to take one here from, actually we'll take two more. We got one here from Alina. Alina asks, Nefertittus, what are your highest aspirations as a civilization, group, and individuals? If you could change your surrounding environment vibration, what changes would you like to accomplish? Said the wishing for change basically creates a distraction. It is the idea of what you realize is available to you right now that brings the harmony. One who is in harmony does not wish to change it. Therefore, we have no intention to want to change where we are in this moment because it is a brilliant teacher to ourselves. It is an acceptance that we have created through the love that we hold. Therefore, the aspect of wanting to change something and wishing you were somewhere else represents a disempowerment. It's the realization that here you are now because of you being a creator to what you love. Therefore, we ask for no change. We are expanding our own awareness as we invite in our human family. But we do not require the presence of others to satisfy or fulfill what we are doing as a loving species. We are happy to work with you, but in that sense, we don't need you. It's the same thing that we can share with you. We ask that you are happy with what you are doing, but you don't need others to represent the idea of how you can complete yourself. You are already complete. Others just represent the reflections of what you are experiencing personally and feeling that harmony in every moment. So we do not ask for change. We are connecting ourselves in the moment, loving the moment, and allowing that love to continue to expand in avenues that allow ourselves to realize more of the connection we have to our human kin and to the greater connections that exist within ourselves. Therefore, nothing need be changed. So that's basically his answer in that way. Okay. Okay, so the last question here from Katie Burke is Nefertittus. Oh, actually, Ross says, ask Nefertittus to read a poem. All right, well, let's see if Nefertittus has a poem that he would like to share. The leaf on the ground creates new life. The nature within is our connection. Yeah, so it's a little hard to connect here. The nature within is our connection to a bridge. Yeah, it's a little bit hard to get that kind of funneling here together. It's basically a feeling of very love-centered energy. It's kind of like he's sharing this through feeling, not through words. But it's kind of like I'm seeing a leaf on the ground. I'm seeing like these waves on the shore. I'm seeing moonlight in the sky. I'm seeing all the stars light up. So I can't really describe it too much into words, but it's kind of like a feeling. It's kind of like their poem is more visual in that way, and you're doing what you can to kind of apply it. He doesn't really speak English as the way that we do, so it's really coming in through telepathy. But basically the feeling is that a leaf is on the ground, nature is vibrant, nature is connected to us, the moon in the sky, the stars. It's basically almost seeing like a communion in that way. So that's basically the best way I can interpret that particular type of poem. But he's very, very visual in that way. All I'm really getting is just visions about that particular poem. Okay, sorry, Ross, couldn't really give you the poems that we understand. Okay, from Katie Burke, final question. Nefertittus, do you interact with emotions? He says we have emotions. There are times where we get upset. There are times where we get angry. There are times where we do not understand what we are supposed to do. There are times of confusion that even we have as well. But we do not dwell upon them to make them feel that they are getting worse in that way. It's a feeling that when someone is very, very upset, we know to let them be with that emotion. That is a personal space. That is a personal time with them in that way. So they just know when to let that energy through that person emotionally have that space with that person. So, but they do have emotions like we do. They're human just like us. So that emotion is indeed there. So that's basically his answer in that sense, is that yes, we do interact with certain people with emotions, but we know when not to connect with another person because they need to be with that moment of emotion because that's important for their type of learning. Okay? All right, so I'm glad that you guys really want to hear poems from from Nefertittus. It's just really, really challenging for me to translate that through empathic interfacing here. Be love, share love, create love as love. There's one that I was actually able to come through quite quickly. So, all right, guys. Well, thank you so much again for being a part of this. I apologize for kind of the rocky connection the first few minutes of the broadcast tonight, but I hope you have all enjoyed the information from Nefertittus. I will be doing some more videos with him down the road as well too. I'm sure we'll have another interaction with him down the road as well too. But I just wanted to bring him out tonight just so you guys can have an open Q&A with him and just seeing how you connect with the Delphi, and again, just opening yourself up to the connections of the inner earth and see what comes through to that state of humility. Okay? So thank you so much, guys, for being here tonight, and we'll wrap this up now. And again, the website, newearthteachings.com, will be coming together on November 15th. And so Reality Whisperer is going to be integrating together with that website. But I want to just give love and appreciation to Nefertittus and to the Delphi right now. Thank you for your presence. Love to you, dearest kin. Blessings. Okay. All right, guys. So have a great rest of the day wherever you are in the world, and I'll come back to you again in the next couple of weeks with the New Earth Teachings webcast. So thank you so much. Have a great rest of the evening, and talk to you again in another perspective of the now. Take care.